It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, my name is Brian Engelman, and this is The Unhappy Hour on the TNAM network at TheNewAmericanMedia.com. Cleveland, you have done it again. Congratulations. You have put on yet another fantastic event. You have Final Four events coming up, NBA All Star weekends coming up, and I just wanted to say, well done. Good job. You are turning around what it means to be a Clevelander. We're not Detroit, as Mike Polk so famously put together in his hastily assembled Cleveland tourism video that he did just redo. You should check out the new one. Still not Detroit. But we had the opportunity to cover the RNC, the Republican National Committee Convention, RNCC, in Cleveland in 2016. And we were just really impressed. Just the transportation into Tower City. You heard a lot of people at Major League Baseball talking about it, the walkability of the city, all the restaurants, the bars, the shops. Cleveland is really a nice destination to put on events. With Quicken Loans Arena, now the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and with Jacobs Field, now Progressive. It's the Gateway Complex is really coming into its own, and they proved that in 2016. They proved it yet again yesterday, as the American League defeated the National League in the 90th All Star game. So congratulations, and special congratulations to a lot of. Well, we'll talk about the players in a second. I just wanted to start off the show thanking everybody from the city of Cleveland for putting it together. You're representing the city well. We'll just leave it at that. Well done. Now, on to the game. By the way, we're going to put the full show of this on youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia, so click subscribe and the notifications bell. And then we're starting our separate YouTube channel. I'm going to put separate segments in there. So check out both of these. We're going to do all sports on the new channel. Once we get over 100 subscribers, we'll rename the channel, we'll put all sports content over there, and then we'll do all of the things that we do at the New American Media YouTube channel. So let's get into the game. Shane Bieber, only his second year in the league. He was a late addition to the roster, won MVP. What was it, the fifth inning? He came in and pitched a 1-2-3, strikeout, retired the entire side. On strikeouts, standing ovation, just the applause from the hometown crowd was through the roof. It was exciting. It was fun. It was really neat. It was nice to watch Tribe manager Terry Francona cheering him on from the top of the dugout also. Just like really excited. He was a member of the American League All Star coaching staff. So that was really neat to see. And congratulations for winning a brand new Chevy truck. That's pretty neat. Yeah, Bieber used a fastball, curve, and a slider, knocking them all down. And the crowd was chanting, "Let's go, Bieber." I like the meme. It said, "I'm the Bieber now." It was like the Tom Hanks movie. "I'm the captain now. I'm the Bieber now." Good job, Shane Bieber. We're all proud of you. Second thing I want to talk about here is Carlos Carasco, Cookie Carasco. I think Carlos kind of stole the show yesterday. Carlos left the team several weeks ago with an undisclosed medical issue, and there were rumors and speculation. And it turns out that Carlos Carasco does indeed have leukemia, so he's battling blood cancer. And so I believe it was right after Shane Bieber in the fifth inning going into the sixth inning. Major League Baseball in the All-Star game had this stand up for cancer, and you write the name of who you're standing for. And Carlos's teammates were standing for Carlos, and he was standing for himself. And, to have like a face and a voice for a disease that so many people suffer through, and having that as a Clevelander, as a member of the Cleveland Indians organization, and then having the Tribe hosting the All-Star game like they did, and having that special moment right after Shane Bieber's special moment was a special moment. It was great. It's obviously awful that Carlos is going through this, and we wish him the best, obviously. But it was really great. It was really great to see everybody coming together And maybe there's going to be some heightened awareness because of this. Maybe there'll be some heightened donations. Maybe there'll be some heightened efforts to figure out what's causing this and stop it. Stop it from harming so many people and so many families. And Carlos Carasco, I just want to take a second to mention this about Carlos Carasco. In 2019, the issue of immigration and illegal immigration and invasions and migrants, cultural appropriation, we're going through a lot right now on a global scale. Northern Africa has led to waves of migration that push people all the way up through Europe. A lot of issues in a lot of those countries, England being one of them. And then, of course, in the United States with a wave of migration coming up from Central and South America. Carlos Carasco, just to remind you, Carlos Carasco is Venezuelan. Carlos Carasco loves this country. Carlos Carasco, yes, he's a Major League Baseball player. It's easy for him to do. Okay, set that aside for a second. Put the one talking point you have on the side. Because sure, these processes, the immigration process is complicated. Especially more complicated if you're not a wealthy professional baseball player. Got it. Now, that being an aside, in 2016, Carlos Carasco was thrilled to become a United States citizen, passing the immigration test and actually saying, yes, I'm going to come here, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to live here, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to become an American. I'm not going to come up here and try to bring the culture from wherever I'm fleeing because it's so bad. I'm not bringing that here. I'm joining America to join this team. This is our team now. I want to join this team. I don't want to fundamentally transform this team. And so Carlos Carasco had that famous Uncle Sam. He had the red, white, and blue, the regalia, the suit, the stars and bars, the stripes and the stars on his suit, and the big Uncle Sam hat. He's proud to be an American. So, in this day and age where the dinosaur media, the media that's been able to lie to you for so many decades and getting away with it, they have to paint everything, just looking under every stone, trying to call everything racist each day. I don't see that. What I see is an America that wants to welcome people who are going to come here and do things the right way and become a part and integrate into this culture. And I think Carlos Carasco of the Cleveland Indians, the starting pitcher who's battling leukemia, I think he's a shining example of someone to look up to, say, hey, you know what? It takes time. It takes testing. It takes the processes. Obviously, Carlos is a wealthy individual with means. Got it. Put that aside for a second. But he did it the right way. That's the example to look at. Not sneaking in the back door when you don't think someone's paying attention. It's doing it the right way. And, the Cleveland Indians, who have been so maligned, caught up in this cultural battle. And I'll get to that in a second with Major League Baseball. What some people said was bribing the Indians to get rid of Chief Wahoo, the beloved cartoon icon for the team. This organization has been very welcoming to all people. And I think Carlos becoming a United States citizen is just a fantastic role model for us to look up toward, to point toward is how we're supposed to do things the right way, and about how you can be accepted with the roaring, the rousing ovations from Clevelanders and really people across the globe yesterday watching the show. It's unifying when people come together and do it the right way. But it was a great moment yesterday. Francona cheering for Bieber, but then the rest of the team standing and rallying and cheering on Cookie Carasco. It was a moving moment. And we wish him nothing but the best. This new United States citizen as of late 2016. He really is an inspiration, and that was nice to see on display. So just kind of speaking about being on display, I wanted to talk about the Cleveland hosting 6 All Star games. That's the most of any city. So obviously Cleveland is doing something right for hosting big events. Just a straight kudos for that. a little bit about the game yesterday. Michael Brantley came in and had a great round of applause. Michael Brantley was a multiple All-Star for the Cleveland Indians for several years on several playoff runs, and he battled his own injuries, but he's having a great season now that he's signed with the Houston Astros. And he got a very important early run. I thought he might have ended up being the All-Star MVP, but he did get good applause from the city of Cleveland, the fans. Definitely appreciated him, and when he was doing his interviews, he seemed to really appreciate the people of Cleveland, and that was a nice moment that he got to come back and do some good. Some cool things that happened over the entire All-Star weekend. CC Sabathia throwing out the first pitch to Sandy Alomar. This is changing of the guard. This is Sandy Alomar Jr., of course, the catcher for the Indians on those great late 90s teams, and CC Sabathia coming up with the system and being with us through 2007 when we almost went to the World Series. I really had it in our hands. It was a very beatable Colorado Rockies team, and we were up 3-1 on the Boston Red Sox and couldn't get it done. But CC showing nothing but love for Cleveland and the organization. That was a nice moment. Of course, you also had Charles Nagy, Carlos Baerga, Jim Thome, Dennis Martinez, Charlie Manuel, and all these people participating in celebrity events, softball games, up-and-coming rising stars games. It's nice to see. That's what makes baseball a universal thing, is that, it spans decades, it spans generations. It's something that Cleveland really did do right. Also, what we did right is the crowd definitely booed Aroldis Chapman and Cubs infielder Javier Baez. This is stemming back, of course, to when the Indians met the Cubs in the 2016 World Series. Once again, the Indians were up 3-1 and couldn't seal the deal. So it was nice to see that the crowd has not forgotten. I just hope the crowd doesn't forget that next time you make it to the World Series, don't you dare sell tickets to your home team, to your home games. Don't sell them to out-of-towners. I don't care how much they're offering you. Hold on to those tickets. You need to maintain home field advantage. That was a big mistake in 2016 when the deep-pocketed Chicago Cubs fans started offering insane amounts of money. Keep it. Keep the ticket. Just remember that for next time. Of course, the home run derby, Vladimir Guerrero went bonkers, 91 home runs in all, but he ended up losing out to Mets rookie Pete Alonso. Pete barely squeaked past Carlos, Tribe first baseman Carlos Santana by one home run, really on the last pitch of the first round. Carlos was, he was pressing a little bit. He went 0 for 3 in the All-Star game, but he got to play, and being this deep as a veteran, it was nice to be represented either way. And we're going to need Carlos Santana if the Tribe expect to make up that remaining 5.5 games that we're behind on the Twins to win the division and or to push for a wild card spot and just make it to the postseason. We're going to need a big second half out of a lot of players, Carlos Santana being one of those players. And it was really cool, really fun to see J.R. Smith, shirtless J.R. Smith, hit I guess you'd call it an inside the park home run, stealing home. It was a pretty cool moment. It was just a lot of fun. It was Cleveland fun. It was really neat. I was a fan of watching this all play out the way that it did. And, Brad Hand, the Cleveland Indians closer, he tried handing the National League the win, really giving up a lot of hits and a couple runs, but was able to stabilize and kept it in check. Barely. Brad Hand giving us a scare there for a minute, but really, Shane Bieber being the story of the day. Special mention to Carlos Carasco. As far as the players and then the overall event, I'd say Cleveland and the Cleveland fans clearly won and should really start to be looked at as a major location to have international conventions. There's a lot of business that can be done for that city. For that downtown ecosystem. Keep putting on good events. Keep the facilities well maintained. Keep supporting them. And keep doing what you're doing, Cleveland, because that's not the Cleveland I grew up with. When I was a little guy, I don't remember Cleveland exactly the same way. So this is pretty good. Keep it up. something else I want to talk about here. This is the topic of Chief Wahoo. Now, there's a cartoon logo named Chief Wahoo, a smiling Indian caricature, beloved in Cleveland, not mocked, not ridiculed, not trying to look down on another group of people and make fun of them. I'm not looking at you, Fighting Irish. I'm not looking at all of the other logos across the league. There was a story that Rob Manfred with Major League Baseball persuaded, and he's been vocal about saying that he wanted the Cleveland Indians to change their logo. Well, the Indians caved. The Dolan ownership caved on that concept. Now, this is the same Major League Baseball front office that absolutely needed to change the disabled list to the injured list because they said it was a microaggression against disabled people. So that just for a little perspective to try to get an idea of who is running Major League Baseball and what they find to be important. So there was this conspiracy theory. I guess you could call it that. Although, I don't know what batting average we have. I don't think anybody's expected to get a hit every time at the plate, but I think we have a pretty great batting average calling things that aren't conspiracy theories. Calling them out early when in the beginning stages were called conspiracy theorists. We were onto the NSA, the spying, the tracking, the data mining. We were onto big tech and their social media, First Amendment restricting censorship, shadow banning, demonetization. We were ahead of the curve for years on this stuff. But when we said, oh, this is garbage, the Cleveland Indians ownership sold this for so the Indians owners can make a quick buck by hosting this event at the expense of our logo. Well, Major League Baseball came out and said, no, this was well in the works before we gave them, that we awarded Cleveland the All Star game. Well, I'm not buying it. Now, there may have been pressure from people at Major League Baseball prior to that. Now, I bet that part of it is accurate. So it wasn't Rob Manfred coming in that this was going that it predated, stuff he was pushing, but he picked up the torch and moved it forward. And to say that it had nothing to do with it, and you heard Manfred talking about how great and walkable the city is and how hospitable, and those things are all true. However, not for a second do I believe that the two are unrelated. They're both announced so close to each other that you couldn't keep the news in because you had to announce who got the All-Star game. And you couldn't keep the news in about the logo because you had to start taking down every piece of signage in the stadium that had Chief Wahoo on it to put a generic C, a block C, the letter C. It could say Cubs, it could say Cincinnati, it could say Colorado. It's just a blank, generic, stupid C. Chicago, I guess Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs. It's just a generic C. Boring. It's lame. So we were told by Major League Baseball over the weekend that they were unrelated. But we were also told by Major League Baseball that the balls are not juiced. Justin Verlander, I watched, the starting pitcher for the American League, formerly of the Detroit Tigers, now on the Houston Astros. He gave interviews. He's like, I've been pitching too long. Don't tell me this is a normal baseball. So now what they're saying is the balls aren't juiced. It's not like the ball is corked or compacted tighter. What they're saying is that the material being used and the stitches are lower. So it's, as the ball spins off the bat, the velocity can go faster, which can make the ball travel farther. So you're not corking the inside of the baseball. You're tightening the outside and you're reducing the imprint of the strings, the stitching, so it tightens up and gets lower, so it's almost like a billiard ball. The aerodynamics, as far as I can understand, is now there's a lot less on the baseball that's creating friction in the air. Now it can just go smooth and it can go faster and go farther. That being said, I feel like Major League Baseball is lying to us about the home runs and the juiced baseballs, and they're lying to us about the fact that they strong-armed and put a lot of pressure on the Cleveland Indians organization to remove Chief Wahoo in exchange for one All-Star game. You know, I just got done saying how cool it is that, you know, Cookie Carasco from Venezuela becomes a U.S. citizen, and that's part of the team, and it's such an embracing culture. And I've never really understood what the obsession was with removing Chief Wahoo, the beloved icon. You know, you don't root for things that you despise or think are lesser than. You know, Louis Sox Alexis was the first Native American baseball player in Major League Baseball, and the team was named after him. Frank Robinson was the first first black American League manager in, what was that, 78, in the late 70s, I believe? Larry Doby was the first black American League baseball player on the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians have been an organization that have broken down barriers and been trendsetters for inclusivity. And that logo, it's a beloved logo. Oh, it's a cartoon character. It's mocking that. It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon. Just like the Fighting Irish guy. But that's okay for some reason. And I said it when it happened, and it's happening again. If you give these social justice warriors 1 inch, they're going to try to take a mile. If you give a mouse a cookie, he'll ask you for some milk. And so now the calls to change the team name are growing. Because you caved and did this. You've emboldened them. These tiny little outrage groups bundle together and just shriek and scream until they get their way. They're a tornado. They just go around trying to destroy things. Things that they don't like. They are suddenly deemed worthy of being the judge, jury, and executioner of what should be allowable content. They're like Mark Zuckerberg telling you what you can and can't say online, like Kaepernick saying what flag is or is not racist. It's like, you don't have the ability to tell me what's allowable and what's not allowable. You can have your personal opinion, that's fine. But to try to impose it on everybody else, it gets old. There's a culture, there's a history. I mean, Ohio was one of the, how would I say it? The Native American heritage in Ohio and around Ohio, from the Great Indian Serpent Mound in southern Ohio. I mean, all over. Look at the county names. Tuscarawas, Cuyahoga. I mean, these are all Indian names. You know, there's a connection to the history. Not every connection to history must be severed. It's not an offensive logo. It's a logo. It's a logo we all grew up with, and it's a logo we love. We don't mock or ridicule them. You know? Buckeye fans, you know, have the Buckeye. Brutus the Buckeye. You know, you don't hate Buckeyes. But I just wanted to point that out. It's just Major League Baseball's trying to tell you that there's nothing wrong with their baseballs, nothing different. Justin Verlander and myself will say, I don't believe it. Rob Manfred will come out with Major League Baseball saying, hey, you know, the Cleveland Indians getting rid of Chief Wahoo, it's just completely coincidental to us awarding them the All Star game within a couple of weeks. Or even sooner than that. I forget exactly the date. I don't believe them. You know, and it's just, that's going to be the legacy of the Dolan ownership group. You know, until you win a championship. Is that all you're going to be known for? Is that you caved? Because what's next is going to be the name of the team. Don't fool yourself and think that this is just the beginning of this and it's the end of it and we're good. No, they're never good. Miserable professional outrage artists. All they do is shriek. Joy to the social justice warriors is a foreign concept. Destruction is their joy. It reminds me of how ISIS would go around breaking religious artifacts, you know, in India and Afghanistan and in Egypt and Sudan and Syria. Anything that whoever happened to be there, if they deemed it something that they didn't happen to like, they thought they were entitled to destroy it. Just like Antifa in the United States now. Oh, well, I don't know. I think this Andy No guy, I think he's bad. Let's give him a brain hemorrhage. Let's try to kill him. Sorry, but you don't get to be judge, jury, and executioner. So just, Major League Baseball on the social justice warrior rampage, we have to change the disabled list. It's offensive to disabled people. How? Remember when Charlotte, the NBA was trying to get rid of the All Star game in Charlotte because they didn't want biological men to be using restrooms with women. And then ESPN fired Curt Schilling because he didn't agree with that either and put something on his social media. I think it was his Instagram profile about a man in drag saying, you don't want this in your daughter's bathroom, do you? So ESPN, ABC, Disney silences people. Major League Baseball thinks, okay, well, if someone is able to play baseball, they're able to play baseball and active. But if you're disabled from playing baseball, you are not able to play baseball. But that's offensive by calling it what it is. I mean, Twitter's banned people for saying a man is not a woman. What is the boundary? What are the guidelines here? We need to have more open, free talk, not less of it, not more restricted talk. Our channel's been severely demonetized. Tons of our sports videos, music videos, educational videos, science videos, political videos, current events videos, music videos. I think I said music twice. Demonetized because we've been deemed somebody at the New American Media that they don't want to listen to. They don't think I deserve a platform. Just like the iconoclasts run around saying that shouldn't be a logo and let's knock down that statue. And I'm not talking about U.S. statues with Civil War people, although you could. It's the same idea. I don't like that. Knock it down, tear it down, destroy that. It's like, who died and made you... who made Colin Kaepernick the person that's in charge of determining what's right and wrong in America? But he's going to take millions of dollars from Nike, who pays their slave labor over in China 20 cents an hour, 23 cents an hour. Fact check me on the stats. But you're okay taking that blood money, but you're telling me we can't have an American flag on a shoe? Because why? Because America? Because America's wrong? America's bad? America's never been great? I'm sorry, man. You don't have the moral high ground here. You're not the moral majority. You're not in charge of doing this. Rob Manfred, why? Why are you changing the disabled list? Why are you changing the logo of the Cleveland Indians? Because don't fool yourselves. This will not stop here. They're coming after the name of the team next. And now I might be in the minority here, but hear me out. So there's two options with Louis Sox Alexis being the first Native American player to be in the Major League Baseball, be on a Major League Baseball roster for the Cleveland, what was it, the Spiders or the Naps? We also named the team the Naps after Nap LaJoie, who was a player on the team. So the history of naming our team in Cleveland after somebody who played or coached for the team was well documented with Nap LaJoie, the Cleveland Naps. Don't forget the Cleveland Browns franchise did this with Paul Brown, the coach. The coach, Paul Brown, the Browns. So to call our team the Indians after Louis Sox Alexis, that's not unheard of. Now, you didn't call him by his name, you just went by Indians. Back then, it was that Indian fella. Go see that Indian fella playing. So I might be in the minority to say, how about this as an option? We could take either the Indians were named after Louis Sox Alexis, or in a mocking way to say, hey, they got that Indian fella playing over there. Check out that Cleveland Indians team. Check out the Indians. Mocking in a derisive term. Okay. I wasn't there. I wasn't born. I don't know. I've read conflicting reports and people that claim they know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But today, it's a beloved icon. Today, it's a cherished logo that reminds us of the time we spent playing baseball in our neighborhood with our friends and family. Passing that skill on to the next generation and playing with our dad or our grandfather, playing catch. That's the American way. So, regardless of how the team got the name, maybe we could still take that heritage and say, all right, we were the Indians for a while, but now we're the Tribe. Tribe is a good name. Tribe is a unifying. It takes the heritage of, the Native Americans that were indigenous in the Ohio Valley, in the Ohio area, the Ohio territories, prior to being settled in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. 1900s, really. You know, we call them the Tribe. Let's go Tribe. Why not just call us the Tribe and keep Chief Wahoo? Remember the past and just say we changed the name because, hey, dummy, this isn't India. They're not Indians. You know, they're native to this place. They're Native Americans. They're indigenous to here. That's the reality. That's the history. You know, if Christopher Columbus was spun around, he landed on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock didn't land on him. And then he mistakenly said these are Indians. Okay. Well, I wouldn't have a problem changing the name, actually, because it's not an accurate term. How about the Tribe? Because maybe it has roots in being a tribe of Indians, and that's where we got the current nickname from. Come on, Tribe. It's, you know, a team full of Indians. Hoping you have a chief, Chief Wahoo. This is supposed to be fun. Keep it fun. You know, maybe roll us into a soft rebranding of the Tribe. You know, but the Cleveland franchise is trying to have their cake and eat it too, because they're continuing to crank out, you know, merchandise, however they have it set up with different distribution means. So maybe they're not directly doing it, but they're indirectly doing it through a, copyright, trademark rights. You know, they're holding on to the logo. They're making money off the logo. Just like Colin Kaepernick, you're making money off Nike. You're making money off of sweatshops. You can't have it both ways, man. You cannot have it both ways. Pick your lane. Either you are now the moral majority and you will always make every right decision. You're in charge of determining and policing what is allowable as public discourse. What is the Overton window of allowable speech on this football field? You know, you get a 10-yard stretch from end zone to end zone. What's the allowable speech? You can move the goalposts. You know, you can move that Overton window as much as you want. You really think you're capable of doing that? Benevolent, that this is coming from, you know, from a good place, and you're not going to let the power get to your head, that you're uncorruptible? And nobody has the right to be doing that. And so we got to get past this constantly trying to tear down as much as we can of history. Doesn't mean all history is good. Nobody's ever said that or thought that. You know? But if Chief Wahoo today is a symbol of love and togetherness and team and camaraderie and community, keep the logo, acknowledge it, change the name of the team, acknowledge it, call it the Tribe. I couldn't imagine anybody having a problem with the name Tribe. But I would say work Chief Wahoo back into the rotation and just remember your history. I'm actually cool with that. So I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. What do you want to do with Chief Wahoo and the logo? Post them in the comments below. Subscribe, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. On Instagram, it's instagram.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Follow us over there. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. That's for the New American Media homepage. We're at _TheUnhappyHour_ for the sports group on Twitter. Follow us there. On Facebook, we have two private groups. One is The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. Follow us. It's a private group. We have to let you in. And the other one is called Strictly Indians. Strictly Indians, powered by the New American Media, or powered by the Unhappy Hour. That's a all Cleveland Indians and baseball related page. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to me. You know, I'm excited for the future, especially with Cleveland only being a few games back of the Minnesota Twins now and riding a 6-game winning streak, and some of our pitching staff is starting to get healthy. Maybe get Carlos Carasco back. Maybe get Corey Kluber back. You know, and we got a lot of young depth coming up from the farm system. It's so nice to see. Just got to keep Jose Ramirez hitting well, keep the rest of the team hitting well, and look forward to a really strong season. Good job, Cleveland. Give me your thoughts. I gave you a lot to talk about today. I appreciate your time. Talk to you again soon. Appreciate you. Love you. Peace.
It's the Unhappy Hour.